All right, today's topic is going to dig a little bit deeper into cells, which we've been studying in 7th grade. We're going to do a little bit more of the chemistry actually involved in life science of cells, specifically around how cells get their energy. So we learned that viruses are incredible because without even really being alive, they're able to do something that only life can. They're able to reproduce themselves. One of the reasons that we said that viruses aren't alive is that they don't have a main characteristic of life, metabolism. That means that they can't actually get energy from food or from the sun, and they can't use the energy. And when you think about anything that's living, metabolism and that use of energy is really, really important to what it means to be alive. Cells, on the other hand, like the eukaryotes and prokaryotes that we've been learning about, they definitely do have metabolisms. That's one of the characteristics of life, and all cells are living. That means they can get energy and use it. Now, how exactly do these cells get and use energy? Well, there's lots of different ways that they use it, but we are going to focus on how they get that energy in the first place. So, what do yogurt and that sore feeling you get when running have in common? They are both the products of fermentation. Now, fermentation is one method cells use in order to get energy to help themselves stay alive and do all the things that cells do. Remember, we've learned about ATP, which is this fabulous molecule that cells can use as energy. You've also probably heard glucose, the simple sugar that acts as food for cells. In fermentation, you take one molecule of glucose, you get 2 lactic acid molecules, which are what we use to make yogurt, and it's the thing that gives our muscles that achy, sore feeling when we're really exercising, and 2 molecules of ATP. So where does fermentation take place in the cell? In the cytoplasm. All cells have cytoplasm, which means all cells can do fermentation. All they need is 1 molecule of glucose, and the cytoplasm will turn it into that waste lactic acid and also 2 molecules of ATP. So for a simple cell, like a bacterium, fermentation is just fine. 1 glucose molecule to 2 ATP molecules, it's going to be enough energy for this simple cell to get by. But for a complex eukaryotic cell, like an animal cell, it's got to have another way to do this besides just fermentation, because this just isn't going to be enough energy. Lucky for complex cells, there's cellular respiration. Now, cellular respiration is a different process, and this one prokaryotes can't do. It still takes just 1 glucose molecule, but this time it actually needs oxygen, 6 molecules of O2 oxygen. And a process happens which results in 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, and 38 molecules of ATP. So with cellular respiration, we can take that same 1 molecule of glucose and turn it into 19 times as much energy molecules as fermentation. Pretty incredible. Cellular respiration can seem like a mouthful, but that word respiration in there should really remind you of respiration like breathing. One way that I remind myself that respiration is the process that requires oxygen is that I think about how we respire. We breathe in air to get that oxygen. When we breathe out a lot of things, including the carbon dioxide and the water that our cells create during cellular respiration. Now, if fermentation happens in cytoplasm, but only eukaryotes can do cellular respiration, what fancy cell part is responsible for this fabulous process? The mitochondrion, of course. Mitochondria are known as the powerhouses of cells for a really good reason. These are the places where cellular respiration happens. It's inside all of these inner membranes that 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen get turned into carbon dioxide and water as waste products and also result in 38 molecules of ATP. So while both simple cells and complex cells are able to produce energy, they can really produce different amounts. Prokaryotes are limited to fermentation because they only have the cytoplasm. There's no mitochondria. So for every 1 molecule of glucose that they find, they can only make 2 molecules of ATP. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, thanks to these fabulous mitochondria, can produce a lot of energy through cellular respiration. Okay, let's compare our 2 processes. In fermentation, It uses one glucose molecule, and the same is true for cellular respiration. Here's where they really differ. Fermentation only makes 2 molecules of ATP, but respiration can produce 38 ATP molecules. Fermentation happens in every type of cell because all cells have cytoplasm, and respiration is just for the eukaryotes because the cell needs a mitochondrion. And there you have it, 2 different ways that cells get energy.